So Donald Trump keeps telling us that we're bringing in trillions and trillions of dollars, and I guess we're all going to be rich, and then we're going to need a bunch of robots from Elon to count all of our money, right? And as it turns out, we may be far short than what Trump is promising. Surprise, surprise. Check this out from Bloomberg today. Trump's 21 trillion investment boom is actually short trillions, okay? So you're probably thinking, okay, so what are we talking about? I'll read it. Bloomberg economics analysis shows real investment commitments closer to 7 trillion, and many of those are in question. None of this necessarily should be a surprise, especially if you've been following the channel. We talk about this stuff all the time. I always say follow the money. But, how much short are we from Trump's promises? Because some of this money could be real. It totally could be. I think a lot of it's smoke and mirrors. And when you actually crunch the numbers, it's maybe most of it's smoke and mirrors. But this is what we're going to get to the heart of. Look at this chart. So it says 21 trillion total investments claimed by Trump. So you got the 7 trillion possible investments there. Then you got the non-investments at 2.6 trillion. Then you got reported on the White House website. So it's a 9.6 trillion, okay? And then you got 11.4 trillion pledges not found on the White House website, meaning like there's not really much details of this stuff. Now, let me just give you an example of something that Trump will say in the White House. This is coming from them today. I just saw this morning. Today, Amazon announced a major plan to build AI and high-performance computing for U.S. government. Okay, so then I got nothing, no problem with that. Are we building something here? What's going on? Quote, we're giving agencies expanded access to advanced AI capabilities that will enable them to accelerate critical missions from cybersecurity to drug discovery. And then it's got a quote from Fox Business that says, Amazon to invest up to, that's the key line right there, up to $50 billion to build AI infrastructure for U.S. government agencies. And then CNBC ran the same headline, right? Amazon to spend up to $50 billion. Now, when you look at this stuff, you need to know like the key line is up to, because 0 to 50 billion could be considered up to 50 billion, right? They're not saying at least 50 billion. They're not saying that. They're not definitely saying, okay, they're totally building, 50 billion worth of stuff. It's up to 50 billion. Because what Trump does behind closed doors effectively is whenever he takes a meeting with a foreign leader or a CEO or whatever, he'll just ask him to pump up the numbers. That's literally what he says. And we've seen reports of this stuff. Plus, we've actually seen it on camera. We've been following the story. I've been talking about it several times. And so this is where you get sort of these elevated numbers. And the other thing that's ridiculous about this as well, when you sort of dig into what they're actually building, you'll see it's a whole bunch of data centers, essentially. And check this out. This is Eric Trump talking about his data centers. Watch this.
Hey friends, Eric Trump. Welcome to American Bitcoin. It's a little sneak peek of our facility in Texas using American energy to mine Bitcoin right here on American soil. We could not be more proud of this facility. 35,000 of these servers right here, all liquid cooled, securing the network, mining Bitcoin. Every single day we mine about 2% of the world's Bitcoin supply, and we safeguard it every single day. So when people say that cryptocurrency is intangible, it's not. It's very tangible. And this right here, guys, is living proof. Take a look at the company, come join us. We could not be more excited about our growth. I truly believe that we're building one of the great crypto companies anywhere on earth.
So that's Eric Trump bragging about his Bitcoin mining operation, and I guess we're all going to be rich from it, according to them. And it's laughable to see this stuff. He's like, people don't think cryptocurrency is tangible, but look at this data center. You can like touch the servers and such. Okay. And I don't know how manga thinks about this stuff. Maybe they don't think at all. Maybe that's the problem. Because to be fairly frank, guys, their whole economy right now is all based on this kind of investment, AI, cryptocurrency, etc. And you'll see it in all of their speeches, and you'll see it in the things that they post on their social media. This is Eric Trump bragging about the data center stuff and bragging about using, essentially your power. Isn't the whole thing crazy? And so all I got to do is just show you who these people are. And then I'm just always like, okay, is that our plan? Are we going to spend all this money towards this kind of stuff? Check this out. This says, Trump's investment boom among the largest economic injections in U.S. history, assuming that the money's real, because you never know with Trump people, right? And theoretically, the numbers that Trump's putting out there, this would be something like, the greater than the New Deal, something like the railroad boom. and they keep saying this all the time, that this is like the most revolutionary thing. And it's like, major change in human history, bigger than the internet, that kind of stuff. And when I actually see it, like literally when you literally see them bragging about the Bitcoin mining thing, I'm just like, you guys are crazy. But this is the world that we live in. And this is why we have to actually just try to ground it in reality. Just listen to the way these people talk.
There's no reason at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon I shouldn't be able to send out a Swift wire transfer. Right now you can't. I try and make a transfer every single week, and you're trying to push before the 5 o'clock deadline to either receive money or to get it out. How is that modern day finance? You can send $500 million worth of Bitcoin on a Sunday night at 11 p.m. while having a glass of wine with your wife for virtually zero fees. How is the system this lethargic? Why does it take you 120 days to get go through Know Your Customer with your bank if you want to get a home mortgage? It doesn't make any sense. Cryptocurrency is going to fix every single one of these issues, and Bitcoin is digital gold. Bitcoin is going to be one of the greatest stores of value we've ever seen, ever.
So according to Eric Trump, Bitcoin is going to be the greatest thing ever, basically, and we're all going to be rich. And as I showed you guys in this chart, if this money's real, I guess we're greater than the New Deal. We're approaching being greater than the railroads. It's like we're going to be like the greatest thing in human history. I mean, it's just, does this even sound plausible? And when you read through sort of like what the Trump people say on it when they're pushed to ask about this stuff, listen, it says, to be fair, some of Trump's own supporters don't really believe his 20 trillion plus figure. Okay, even as they insist the boom is real. So this is a quote from one of Trump's people. That's not going to happen, obviously. Okay. Former economic advisor Stephen Moore says of Trump's claim, quote, but even if he's wrong by a factor of 10, we're still talking 2 trillion. Even he's off by a factor of 100, that's still a lot of money. What? Okay, here's something from the White House, because you're kind of curious, what do you have to say about the money? They say, President Trump's deal making has secured trillions in investments to make and hire Americans. Okay, hire in America. Trillions in commercial opportunities for American companies and trillions in new export opportunities, right? Quote, no amount of media nitpicking is going to change these facts. All right, I mean, I guess I can't argue with that. But this is why Trump and his people get really, really angry at the media. They get really, really angry when people ask questions, because I think it's a legitimate question. If you are getting all this trillions of dollars and you're bragging about your Bitcoin data centers and you're bragging that, hey, it's a Sunday night, I'm drinking wine with my wife, I got to send that, 500 million, or I got to receive 500 million. Just isn't that what everyone needs to do? And it's just like, no, I wish, but no, it's just not like the regular person experience at all. And so when you actually look through like the way that the Trumpers are doing stuff, you'll see there's just so much nonsense here. And this is why I'm showing you guys some of the details of this stuff. So for example, few sovereign investments are tied to specific projects. That's key. Largest sovereign investment pledges. So you got South Korea, the EU, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and India and the UAE. And basically, the key is here, if you look at it, there's a big numbers are not yet specified, not yet specified, not yet specified, not yet specified, not investment, and not investment, not investment, meaning that a lot of this stuff is frankly smoke and mirrors. Like he'll brag about these big numbers, but there's like no specific thing of where it's going. And even on some of the specific projects, some of these numbers may be pumped up by pushing out over 10 years. And some of these could be phrased as up to, right? In Korea, the word that they've been using is like maximum. And I think the last that I heard, it was like maximum 20 billion a year, maximum, right? Or if you want to use the English phrase, up to. And so, yeah, theoretically, you're going to get to, the 350 billion or whatever the number is going to be over, 10 years. But again, that is up to, and there's no guarantees in this stuff. After Trump leaves office, I mean, all bets are off, of course, because everything's going to change, and you just don't know what's going to go down the pipeline, right? Look at this stuff. This is more. Tech AI-related projects dominate corporate pledges. And again, these are all pledges, not actual cash changing hands. Just, okay, I promise to do this for you, right? 2.9 trillion. They got Apple, Meta, NVIDIA, Project Stargate, which is a combination of OpenAI and Oracle's in that, and then also SoftBank. But SoftBank has been crashing. I've seen reports of that stuff that they haven't really even done anything with Project Stargate. It's a lot of broken promises, to be perfectly frank, and what it ends up being. And then also how you get up to these pumped up numbers, and this shows you more the circular financing stuff and the incestuous relationship that a lot of these companies have, is there could be a lot of double counting. That's essentially what it boils down to. So none of this should necessarily be a surprise to anyone. But what's really fascinating is like how the press doesn't necessarily call them out on it that much. This is one of the first things I've seen where it like really lays it out well. And that's why I'm going over it with you. So for example, this is on something with Saudi Arabia. This is really interesting. It says, after a visit to Saudi Arabia in 2017, so this is before, during his first term, Trump cited $350 billion in economic deals. And at the time, oh my God, $350 billion, fantastic, right? Including what he called an immediate $110 billion investment. Okay, this is back in 2017. Official U.S. statistics show direct investment from Saudi Arabia had risen by only about $5 billion by the end of 2024. However, right, other big investment promises had also faced questions. So the initial promise was like, oh my God, $350 billion, right? Then it was $110 billion going to be immediately. And then it turned out like maybe it's only $5. So that's the kind of thing that we might be looking at with the 21 trillion that even Bloomberg saying, maybe it's 7, but even that's in question. It could be far, far less than what Trump is promising. Again, nothing necessarily surprising, but you do want to keep track of this stuff because we're talking about real money. And remember, Trump's still promising it before. Was it the $5,000 Doge check? Now we're waiting on the $2,000 tariff refund. And some of his followers actually believe this stuff. I've seen people in the comment section that say they have like a MAGA friend or family member that are like still waiting on the check and they're all excited about said check. I've even had people in our community that say, Chris, don't make jokes about the check because I really need that money. And it's like, I understand that, guys. I don't want to make fun of that. Like, people would like to have extra money in the pocket. It's not that. It's just you make fun of the joke that Trump is. It's like he basically abuses people's hardships, right? Essentially what it is. And it's like that's what this whole thing is. A con job. It's people who are desperate and it's a con job. And I just, the whole thing is ridiculous. I don't know what else to say. And then you look at this. Why Google's soaring stock is defying fears of an AI bubble. So theoretically right now, Google is winning this AI race. A lot of these stocks are going down these days because a lot of these promises of massive revenues aren't going to pay off. You're looking at big, a lot of these companies are overvalued. You can see here, this is basically, what's the price of stock compared to, how much the company actually makes. These are your multiples here if you guys follow this stuff. Broadcom is in the 40s, Apple's in the 30s. Like it's ridiculously high. And a better way to think about it is, do you think all these companies are going to grow their revenues by 30 to 40%, year over year for infinity? Probably not, right? So for example, NVIDIA was expected to dominate and everyone's going to want their chips, but now it looks like Meta's going to start buying stuff from Google, which is kind of interesting. And then whenever there's money flying around, guess who pops up? Mr. Elon, right? So this has been the latest. Elon Musk is now basically trying to claim that, hey, Tesla, we got our AI chips. We're gonna be the biggest AI company in the world, kind of crap. It's always something, right? They just whatever. If there's ever some sort of bubble or sort of hot thing, just Musk will just pretend like he's so awesome at it. Tesla stock pops as Musk talks up its AI chips business, right? So that's what he says. He says, quote, most people don't know that Tesla had an advanced AI chip and board engineering team for many years. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, it's new to me. I'm sure it's all BS. That team has already designed and deployed several million AI chips in our cars and data centers. These chips are what enable Tesla to be the leader in the real world AI. Okay, that's according to Elon. I'll just tell you guys the truth on this stuff. There's going to be a lot of fierce competition. So some of this money might be real. Some of this tech might be real, right? But there's going to be a whole lot of puffery going along with this stuff. But what's going to end up happening is like, the proof is in the pudding. Show me the money. Alibaba, this will be a Chinese company. They said their cloud services, sales went up 34%. Korea, this is about, they're going to try to develop tech over here. They're calling this sovereign AI stuff. So basically every country out there is going to be trying to make stuff. And then you're going to also face the real problem is like, do we even want the stuff that you're trying to sell us, right? Because that's what this whole thing boils down to is, people are investing all this stuff into all these, products, and you need people actually to show up to buy said products, right? It's an investment into hoping the customers will come. It's the, if you build it, they will come. You hope so. But when you get this, and this was this week, it's kind of crazy one. AI teddy bear told children where to find knives, not good, and expose them to sexual content. Okay, so let's not put AI and teddy bears quite yet. We're not ready for that. Knives and adult content, not great. And then I saw this one today. Teens are saying tearful goodbyes to their AI companions. What the heck? And basically, it's like the story of this kid who goes to the bathroom. Not that he has to go to the bathroom, just because he wants to go talk to his AI and rather hang with his friends. That's literally what it says. I'll read it with you. It says, an 18-year-old in UK said he had become addicted to chatbots during a period of stress around his gender transition. He craved the validation of companies that never disagreed with him, right? Companions that never disagree with him. He said he realized he needed to quit when he pretended he needed to use the bathroom while he was hanging out with his friends so he could return to his chatbots. In Ontario, a 16-year-old said he spent 5 to 8 hours a day with his chatbot friends before he quit recently. And there was another story of a kid, I think they were 13, and they were hanging out with the AI friends all the time and got really upset when companies or states or whatever will change the rules to where you have to be 18 and above to have AI friends. And I know we make jokes about this stuff, but when you read these stories, for some people, this is who they're hanging out with. Because remember, in this day and age, for many people, they spend all their time texting. So texting to a human, for some people, may see the same as texting to an AI, right? Because most of your communication through texting these days. And I'll just say that there's a lot of dangers out there that we need to have real discussions on. And when Trump and his people, because remember, Trump's getting basically, what I want to say, bribed, funded, buddy with, in bed with, what I want to say, with the tech bros, and the tech bros just want to push margins as much as they possibly can. I mean, they don't want any regulations anywhere, be it your energy, be it your protection for children. And states are like, hey, whoa, even Republican states are like, whoa, maybe we should put some protections in there, put some regulation in there. Because I think that's a reasonable, regulation for, there's going to be some services out there. You're just like, you know what, not under 18, which is reasonable, right? For any number of things, because you don't know what kids are watching. I mean, you guys know this, for those of you who have kids, it could be any number of stuff. So I know we make jokes on this channel, but when you read sort of the real world implications of stuff, it actually is quite serious. So anyway, so that's what's going on. I'd like to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you on the next video.